I never told my mom about my $30,000 salary, but my son did. So on their anniversary dinner, my card vanished. I just used it for one small bill, my mom whispered. 8 hours later, my account was empty, $38,000 missing. Dad chuckled, family first. I didn't respond. But at 7:02 a.m., I just did the one quiet thing, and their phone lit up with 53 missed calls. My name is Harold. I'm 37, a general surgeon, a single dad to a 12-year-old named Mason, and the useful one in my family. Not the genius. Not the screw-up. The one who shows up, lifts, signs, pays, and somehow stays quiet. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment where you could hear the neighbors sneeze and my dad's TV through the wall. Mom managed everything by tone. If the blender started at 6:20 a.m., she was happy. If the TV was loud by breakfast, Dad was in a mood. My younger sister, April, was the golden one, soft voice, big eyes, the kind of person adults protect without asking questions. I learned early that being steady is not the same as being seen. People imagine surgeons as dramatic. It's not. It's alarms at 4:45, coffee that tastes like metal, scrubs that never quite lose the smell of disinfectant. You get good at small, exact things. Cut here, don't cut there. Wash your hands. Clamp the bleeder. Chart the note. Most of my life is muscle memory and quiet decisions. Money? I don't talk about money. I worked for scholarships, slept in call rooms with a jacket for a pillow, paid back loans, and I still keep numbers private. Not because I'm ashamed, because in my house numbers turn into obligations. If you say you have enough, someone needs it. If you say you don't, you're ungrateful. So I said nothing. Even when the private clinic added me to their rotation and my best month stacked close to $30,000 with call and cases. I told Mason I fix bellies and my job is to come home in one piece. That's it. Mason is a literal kid with a loud laugh and zero poker face. He's a good kid who blurts. My mother loves that about him. She'll crouch to his height and coo. Tell me everything, sweetheart. Your dad eats? Your dad sleeps? Your dad keeps secrets. Mason shifts and changes the subject. Usually. Saturday night was my parents' 40th anniversary dinner. White tablecloths, candles, the kind of place where they wipe crumbs between courses and you feel like you're wearing your shoes wrong. We got there at 7:08 p.m. Dad had already started a second glass of wine. Mom had a shiny dress and we're a movie smile. April took pictures with flash like we were leaving for college. Family together, April sang. Family first, Dad said, clinking his glass to mine without looking at me. Dinner was the usual script with new props. Harold, cut your hair like the anchor on Channel 9. Harold, you should delegate. Harold, don't marry your job. I chewed and nodded. Mason studied the menu like it was a treasure map. The check came in a small black folder with the bill folded like a secret. I put my card on top. The waiter left. That's when Mom leaned toward Mason with the soft smile that always looks generous until you listen to the words. Is your dad still underpaid at the hospital? She whispered. Mason blinked. He looked at me. I don't. Grandma, I don't know money stuff. How much does he make? Mom pushed. Eyes on me, voice sweet. Ballpark. Grandma won't tell. Mason flushed. I saw an email once, 30-something. 30,000. For a month? I think. April gasped like a sitcom. Dad set his glass down a little too hard. 30, he repeated, tasting it. Interesting. Heat rose in my throat. Mason, I said gently, you don't have to. It's family. Mom crooned, tapping the bill. Family, Harold. She slid her fingers under the leather folder, lifted my card, and gave me a tiny wink. I'm just running this for one small bill, she whispered. A silly thing. Help for April. Family first. Dad chuckled. The surgeon can handle it. Mason looked guilty. I looked at my hands and did the thing I always do. I breathed, counted, and let the scene roll over me. No speech. No fight. Not yet. We sang for dessert. We took more photos. I kissed my parents goodnight in the parking lot. The first bank alert hit my phone at 12:11 a.m. Approved. I didn't know it then, but that little whisper over a white tablecloth was the crack where everything slid out. Cash, respect, and whatever version of loyalty we'd been pretending was love. I went home, put Mason to bed, and watched the messages roll in like a slow bleed. I didn't answer. Dad's toast echoed in my head like a joke I was too old for. Family first. I didn't respond. Not then. This didn't start at an anniversary dinner. It started years before, with a list of invisible expectations nobody wrote down because they didn't have to. I'm the one who knows how to do things. Change a tire. Book travel. Fill out school forms. Talk to insurance. Harold will handle it. In training, I picked up extra shifts to keep my lights on and my stomach full. At home, I covered small stuff that grew teeth. Mom's gas bill just this month. Dad's phone, the plan is weird. April's car insurance. I'll pay you back Friday, promise. Fridays came and went. The promises rolled like marbles into dark corners and stayed there. It's hard to explain this to people who didn't grow up like us. If you're quiet and competent, your family builds a staircase on your back and calls it love. I carried them for years because that's what good sons do. Also because I was terrified of being called selfish. April never got that word. April got special, sensitive, just needs a little help. We used to joke that April could turn a parking ticket into an essay. Messed up system, she'd say, and someone would pay it. Usually me. She cried pretty and said sorry like a poem. Then it happened again. Back then, I didn't have $30,000 months to hide. I had $2,300 in checking and a loan payment that made me nauseous. When the private clinic brought me in and I finally saw runway, I told myself, stay small, stay quiet, stack your own oxygen. Savings for a down payment. A fund for Mason at 18. Fix the old Corolla and keep it until it dies. No photos, no flex, no telling mom. But in my family, silence is a provocation. If you don't say it, they ask. If you refuse, they guess. If you deflect, they resent. One night at 9:37 p.m., Mom called. Your sister has an opportunity, she said. A certificate program. It will change everything. How much? I said automatic. Only a little, she sang. $1,500 now, $1,500 next month. Nothing for a surgeon. I can't, I said. Dead air. Then the voice that freezes rooms. Excuse me? I'm putting money aside for Mason and a place closer to the hospital, I said. I'm not a bank. You sound cold, she hissed. We raised you better. Family first. She hung up. 4 minutes later, April texted, you're cruel. Mom won't sleep now. Blue hearts. A crying emoji. That was the first time April called me cruel. The second time was when I wouldn't co-sign a lease for a loft with exposed brick and a rent larger than her income. The next morning, Dad waited outside the hospital, arms folded like a bouncer. You're not leaving your sister on the street, he said, keeping his voice low. I'm not her guarantor, I said. I'm a surgeon. I cut people open and try to send them home alive. That's my job. He squinted. You used to be humble. I'm the same, I said. The expectations changed. The family gave you everything, he spat. Images flashed. Me bussing tables in college. Me studying in a hallway because the library was full. Me taking out loans, selling my guitar to clear a balance that wasn't mine. I said nothing. Silence is my oldest language. April perfected the art of just a nudge. Just today, Harrow. You'll get it back, swear. Send your routing number. I'm short by nothing. Nothing turned out to be $280, then $340, then $560. None of those numbers breaks a man. Together, they teach him people will stand on his shoulders as long as he doesn't shake. With Mason, it's different. Spending on him isn't a question. Shoes for his weird feet. Books that smell like new paper. Therapy when he started to stutter because my schedule made him chew his nails until they bled. Being his dad is the one bill I pay smiling. But I also learned to guard his innocence from my family's curiosity. Mom treats kids like tiny microphones. What does Daddy do? Does Daddy keep money in envelopes? Does Daddy have a secret account? She says it like a game. It isn't. When the clinic contract kicked in, I promised myself I'd be boring. I wanted a key to a place where I could sleep between cases if I had to. I wanted a savings account with a name on it. Mason 18. I wanted to stop looking at gas prices like a math problem. I didn't want to post anything. I didn't want to explain anything. Then Mason told my mother a number he saw on my phone because he's 12 and literal and honest. He thought he was telling her my favorite color. That number spread through the family like a siren. It turned night lights into spotlights. It justified every ask they'd been saving. You're fine, the subtext shouted. You can carry this. You're supposed to. At the anniversary dinner, when Mom took my card for one small bill, I remembered a different table. Christmas, when I was 15. I saved for weeks to buy April a design book because she'd drawn dresses on every piece of mail in our house. Mom opened it, smiled, said, "How thoughtful, honey." April put it down and muttered, "Only that." She didn't mean to cut me in half. She did anyway. I swallowed and promised myself I wouldn't cry around the people who say they love me. So when the first bank alert hit at 12:11 a.m., approved, I did the thing I do in the OR. I counted. 12:44 a.m., approved. 1:06 a.m., approved. 1:44 a.m., Approved. 2:17 a.m. Approved. It wasn't a robbery. It was a drip. The charges were help for April, transfer to April, utility, rent. The names were familiar, but the hand signing was mine. At 3:32 a.m., I looked at Mason asleep, mouth open, hair smashed, belt still across his hoodie because he'd passed out in the ride home. He looked small, too small to sit between adults and their numbers. I whispered, "I'm sorry for tonight," to a kid who couldn't hear me. I wasn't sorry for the money. I was sorry I'd let him be cornered into talking. By 4:20 a.m., the group text started. "Mom, don't be dramatic. It's a small payment. We'll discuss tomorrow. Family. April. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll explain everything Monday. Love you. Dad, grow up. Family is not Excel." By 5:56 a.m., the projected balance showed a hole. Not zero. A crater. -38,000 if the pending charges cleared. It felt like standing over a patient opening wider than the first incision. Not a mistake. A choice. I brushed my teeth under the bathroom light that makes everyone look sick. My hands were steady. I'm good under pressure. It's the one thing I trust about myself. At 7:02 a.m., I decided I would do one quiet thing. No speech. No war. One action. Clean. Final. Not yet, I told myself. First, go hear them say the word family like it cuts checks. Then do the thing. Sunday at noon, I went to my parents' apartment. I told Mason to hang with his friend. No homework. No guilt. I didn't want him in the splash zone. Mom had papers spread out like she'd been up since dawn making a plan. Highlighters. Printed emails. Her tight smile. "Sit," she said, like she was the doctor now. Dad crossed his arms and leaned back. April stood near the window with a face puffy from no sleep or too much crying. Hard to tell. It was a mistake, April said first. I needed to cover a tiny debt, and then there were fees. Not fees, I said. Payments in your name, transfers to your account, advances on my card. Mom lifted a hand in the universal everyone calm down sign. Harold, nobody is attacking you. We can reorganize. Look, she pushed a spreadsheet toward me. If you reduce your discretionary spending. What discretionary spending? I asked. She smiled like I was cute. Gym. Fancy coffee. Apps. You know. I laughed once with no humor. I operate 60 hours a week. My leisure is sleeping 3. Dad tapped the table twice. Enough drama. What's done is done. You'll do the right thing. Cover the hole and move on. The hole is 38,000, I said. I made the number land. That's not a hole. That's a pit. Family first, Dad said, as if he had invented the phrase. Family is you, your mother, your sister, your boy. My boy is not part of this, I said. Don't use him to gather intel. Don't sit him down for money talk. He's a child. Silence. April swallowed. I'm sorry, April whispered. I thought. You thought I wouldn't say anything. I finished. Like always. Mom straightened. We are not going to let you play the victim. How many times have we supported you? When? I asked, not to be cruel, just to hear it out loud. When you were in school, and we kept leftovers for you. When we bought you that doctor coat. When we washed your son. You watched him 2 afternoons, I said. The coat I paid in 3 installments. Dad clicked his tongue. Ungrateful. April, voice paper thin, went for the fear. I could get evicted. I don't know what to do. I looked at her, and a decade peeled off. I saw a 7-year-old April with a splinter in her foot, letting me dig with tweezers and a flashlight. She'd whispered, I trust you. Like a secret. For a second I wanted to fold. Mom saw it and slid in. Harold, you cover this, and we make a plan. We are a team. I breathed. I looked at my hands. The same hands that cut, tie, suture, and sometimes shake after certain words. And I said it the way I deliver bad news to families who deserve clarity. No. The air in the room changed like a pressure door sealed. What do you mean, no? Dad asked. I'm not covering any more debt that isn't mine, I said. I'm not letting you use my cards. And I'm not accepting that Mason gets interrogated to find out how much I make. Mom laughed her sharp little laugh. You're exaggerating. It was a family loan. It wasn't a loan, I said. It was abuse. Watch your mouth, Dad snapped. Not in this house. In this house, I said, limits have been treated like suggestions. April sobbed. If you don't help, I'll be on the street. I didn't look away from my parents when I answered. You can stay with me for 2 weeks. I'll help you build a budget that touches reality. We'll call your landlord together. I'll take you to job interviews. I won't drop you as a person. But my accounts are closed. Dad leaned back with a smirk. You call that help? Some surgeon. All brains, no heart. I'm a father, I said. First, I'm a father. Mom pinched her lips. You need to check your heart. You're bitter. I held her stare and finally said the sentence I'd been tasting since midnight. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. I let the words sit. Dad stood and did the thing he used to do when I was 10, turned his back like the conversation was over if he decided it was. You think you're the man now. In this family, the last word is mine. Family first. Great, I said, standing. Let's start there. From now on, my family is Mason and me. Mom followed me to the door with her spreadsheet clutched in her fist. Don't do something you'll regret. You'll cool off by morning. I won't, I said. Your sister needs you. My sister needs boundaries. Harrow, please, April cried. The nickname hit old nerves. I paused. I love you, April. That's why the answer is no. I closed the door. No slam. Just the clean click of a latch when it finally sets. At 7:20 p.m., back home, I did the quiet thing. I opened the banking app and locked every card. Not heroic. Swipe, confirm, done. I called the fraud line and reported unauthorized use. I requested an audit and flagged every transaction with April's name on it. Then I did the part that mattered most. I separated the streams. Wages to a new bank. Savings to a credit union I can't access on my phone. Mason's fund to a separate institution altogether. Auto transfers off. Alerts on. One thing, clean and boring. At 8:03 p.m., the phone started. Mom, don't be extreme. I reversed a bit. Dad, you're a disgrace. April, I'm coming over. I'm sorry. I put my phone face down. I made scrambled eggs and toast for dinner with Mason. We talked about his science homework. The heart beats with electricity. Dad, not magic, and argued about whether ketchup belongs on eggs. We watched a dumb movie. At 10:41, I muted the family group. Monday, 7:02 a.m. The minute I'd promised to myself. I sent one text, the whole policy in lowercase. No swears, no theater. Starting today, 1. I do not lend or share cards. 2. I do not co-sign or guarantee. 3. I do not pay other people's debts. 4. Do not ask Mason about my money. 5. If you need help, I define it and I set the terms. If charges continue, I file a formal report. H. I send it to Mom, to Dad, to April. 3 blue checks. 9 minutes of nothing. Then the flood. 7:11, first call. 7:12, second. 7:13, third. By 8:26 a.m., there were 17 missed calls. By 9:50, 31. By noon, 53. My pocket buzzed like a cheap drill. Mason glanced at the screen on the ride to school and raised his eyebrows. That's a lot, he said. It's noise, I said. Noise goes down. In the OR that afternoon, between a gallbladder and a hernia, I took a deep breath and let the room do its job. The OR is a church for people who don't pray. The patient's body doesn't care about family politics. The scalpel doesn't know who's in your phone. At 1:55 p.m., my email chimed. The bank had frozen $18,000 in transactions pending investigation. Not joy, relief with a half-life. That evening, April showed up at my door with a backpack, eyeliner smeared, hair shoved into a knot. Can I stay 2 weeks? She said. No makeup voice. No performance. Yes, I said. With conditions. Anything. Phone off at 10:30. No online shopping. Tomorrow you go to the front desk interview I lined up at the clinic. I'll pay the bus this week. That's it. Tonight we build a budget that has numbers, not wishes. She nodded. Cried a little. I made tea. At 9:12, we opened her bank app and wrote down every subscription, every delivery, only $9.99. For the first time, her spreadsheet had no Herald column. It had income, rent, food, debt. It looked like a real life. Mom pivoted to health. Texts about blood pressure, dizziness. Your father can't sleep. At 10:02, she sent a photo of a home cuff. 148 of 92. I'm not a cardiologist, but I can read numbers. I texted back what I would tell any patient. Go to urgent care if you feel off. I can take you. Please don't use health to argue about money. She didn't go. Tuesday, 6:20 a.m. Dad waited on the sidewalk outside the hospital with his hands jammed in his coat, like it was winter in August. You going to report your mother? He said. I'm going to report unauthorized use if it continues, I said. She gave you life. You both raised me, I said. And I'm raising my son. That's the circle. Family first, he said, like a prayer worn smooth by overuse. Family isn't a debit card, I said. It's a boundary. He stared like I'd spoken another language. For the first time, I didn't want to win. I wanted to scrub in, do my cases, and later sit on the couch while Mason read me 2 pages of a book about hearts beating because electricity tells them to. April came home, smiling the next day. They want me for a second interview, she said. Good, I said. Mom says you're cruel. She can feel that. What do you feel? She asked. Tired, I said. She twisted her hands. Do you hate me? No, I said. But I can't save you every month. That's not love. She nodded, eyes shiny. You never asked me for anything, she said. Maybe that's why it felt like there was no limit. There's always a limit, I said. We just didn't say it out loud. Wednesday, Mom sent a 3-minute voice note crying. Your father doesn't understand why you're like this. You broke his heart. April might be homeless. Money changed you. You used to be tender. Money dirtied you. I deleted it. Not from anger. For hygiene. Thursday, 6:47 p.m., a collections agent called my number asking for Harold G. about a debt, April's. She'd used my phone as the contact. That's not the debtor's number, I said. Please update your records. Is she family? He asked. Yes, I said. That changes nothing. I hung up and stared down a long, bright hallway that smelled like alcohol preps and bad coffee. The word family weighs different when numbers sit under it. It can be a rope. It can hold. It can also choke. Friday came with 22 new alerts. Attempted charge declined. The quiet thing had worked. At 9:12 a.m., the bank reversed $12,700. The rest would take time. I didn't feel victorious. I felt like I'd put a tourniquet on and the bleeding slowed. Dad texted that afternoon, come to dinner. We'll talk like men. I didn't. I flipped burgers at home. April set the table, careful like it mattered. Mason asked between bites, what does family first mean? I chewed, swallowed. It means we take care of each other, I said. But it doesn't mean we take from each other. How do you know the difference? He asked. Boundaries, I said. Like when I tell you no video games after 10, no matter the puppy eyes. Oh, he said. It's for my good. Exactly. I looked at April. She looked at her plate. Over the weekend, Mom posted a photo on social media of her hand over Dad's. The caption, 40 years of love. Family is everything. Likes piled from aunts and neighbors. None of them saw my alerts at 2:17 a.m. Social media is a hospital hallway with the blood mopped away. Sunday, 7:04 p.m., I sent one more message to the family group. I love you. If you want to talk, Sunday 5 p.m. at my place. Mason present, no yelling, no guilt. Bring a pen and paper so we can write down boundaries. If not, we can take some time without talking. 2 hours of silence. At 10:01, scene. At 10:15, Dad left the group. At 10:18, April, I'll come. At 10:23, Mom, don't impose rules on me. I didn't respond. Monday morning, 7:02 a.m., I checked my phone. Total missed calls from yesterday, 53. Each one felt like an old habit pounding at the door. Open up, be the kid again. I didn't. I drove to the hospital and scrubbed like always. In the OR, closing a neat line of skin with running subcuticular, I said this sentence to myself one more time. Not a slogan. A fact. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. There was no movie ending. No confessions. No hugs. No speeches. Boundaries don't end with fireworks. They end with repetition. April took the front desk job. She hated the uniform, but liked seeing her own paycheck. 6 weeks later, she moved into a small apartment she could afford. Sometimes she texts her budget at midnight. I answer the next morning with one word. Good. Mom still sends health updates when she wants attention. I reply like a doctor. Go to urgent care if you don't feel well. She hasn't touched my account since. We talk about Mason's school and her plants. Nothing deeper. It's thinner now, but it's clean. Dad keeps his distance. He said family first, once more. I told him, exactly. Me and Mason. He didn't argue again. The bank returned part of the money. Not all, but enough. The real win is silence. No more late-night calls, no emergency messages, no guilt paragraphs. My home finally sounds like a place where I can breathe. Mason still blurts things. He once told his teacher, I sew people together. But he also drew a picture of us holding a giant key. It's a boundary, he said. It's on the fridge. I used to think love meant paying the bill. Now I think it means knowing where the table ends. If you need permission, here it is. It's okay to stop being useful when useful means being drained. It's okay to define family as the people who don't demand proof. I'm still Harold. Surgeon. Dad. Quiet man who finally sleeps through the night. I don't lend cards. I don't co-sign. I don't explain my income through my kid. I still answer the phone for health, not manipulation. I still help, but on my terms.